In the video previous to this, I sailed up the Overton arm of Lake Mead in light winds with my dog to camp on board near the mouth of the Virgin River. In the second video, I'll discuss my proximity to a criminal cattle rancher, and I'll explore otherworldly landscapes populated with predators before sailing back home in the desert sea breezes without a hand on the helm. First, spending the night under the stars gave me time to reflect on the infamous federal outlaw whose cattle I'd been seeing, and I woke up certain that it was him. These cattle we're seeing on the beach might belong to a real cowboy outlaw. Virgin River comes in right here, and then it goes St. Thomas, then Glendale, then Overton. In Glendale, there's a road over Mormon Mesa from Glendale, and I've been told that road over Mormon Mesa drops right down into Clive and Bundy's ranch. In 2014, Clive and Bundy's refusal to pay for grazing rights in this area led to an armed standoff with federal law enforcement. Bundy is near 80 today, but he and his family still occupy the same land. Looking at a map of where I was anchored and where Bundy's cattle ranged has me within a mile of the land that the BLM marked as a cattle trespass closure area, and the feds started rounding up his livestock that were illegally grazing. It's next to impossible that anybody else would be ranging cattle on this desert just outside this marked area, especially these skinny cattle picking at weeds that these were. Anyways, it was time to get moving. The wind had disappeared yesterday, had been forecast to be even lighter today, and I wanted to travel north to the inlet of the Virgin River before backtracking back home. I packed up and got moving, trying to catch the morning puffs before they disappeared. I've basically run aground on what might be a delta to the Virgin River. So I'm going to tie off to that tree. The wet Virgin River floodplain is just out of place in the Mojave Desert. So much of the terrain around here is barren and mountainous that a flat overgrown delta feels like being transported to another state or something. Animals, feral and wild, were thick compared to this often empty landscape. A coyote seemed curious about me and my dog. It made its way to leeward to get a better idea of us by our scent on the breeze, and me and Cheech enjoyed the novelty of water in the desert. Got a row again. There's a wind out on the lake, but there's especially wind out at like that next where that next wash is. So row through here and then hopefully sail through there. Day's supposed to be 80 degrees, and so it's heating up, and I think the air's heating up in the hills and kind of rising up, and it's sucking the cool air off the lake. As I made progress back home, the only air moving was near the western shore, where a really light breeze blew straight off the lake to the west. The sun was shining on this western hillside, and it was generating a sea breeze, heating up the air on land that rose up and sucked cool air off the lake. I think because it occurred on such a small scale and like a irregular terrain, that the strongest flow was in focused currents, the cool lake air staying low as long as it could. And it was flowing up these washes that the rain had carved into the valley's hillside. And so I found myself rowing across the fronts of points and then sailing across the low, flat beaches. So you can see I'm about to come into this little textured area here. Elevation got lower. When I was getting around that point, just these thermals stopped, but I'm kind of creeping right back into one. Eventually, a real wind, a real atmospheric circulation blew it from the southwest, strong enough to do some real sailing. Discovering the sea breezes had put me in this focused mindset, and I sailed the better part of the route back on a rudderless drill, tacking into the wind with the tiller tamer set hard. I could flatten the boat's heel and I could trim the main sheet hard, and it would move the sail to the center line, which was like moving the center of effort of the sails forward, pushing the boat off wind. And the opposite worked too, where I'd ease the sheets or shift my weight to make the boat heel more, and it made the sails push the boat from further aft. It made the boat head up into the wind. An added benefit was that I didn't have to move off my comfortable spot on the main thwart. It was nice to to really relax and let the wind do the work after a trip with more rowing than I had planned. There's a series of videos on my channel that detail the build of this boat, and the design is included in there for free. Building and maintaining and using small boats like this is a ton of work, but you get to access places like this and use the power of nature to move you, and the reward is proportional.